Okay, so today's movie is Cloak and Dagger, another 80s film made for kids. It was directed by Richard Franklin, a director that I've never heard of before, and it's set in 1980s San Antonio, Texas. It's based on a short story called The Boy Cried Murder, which was previously adapted into a film called The Window in the late 40s and a film by the same name of the story, The Boy Cried Murder, in I believe it was the very early 60s. This film stars Henry Thomas, who we all know from E.T., as Davy, a really imaginative boy who just lost his mother and is suffering from some serious emotional problems, which have escalated his overactive imagination to dangerous levels. Really, his best and seemingly only friend is a girl named Christina Rice. The actress is Christina Rice. The character's name is Kim, and Kim is his best friend who seems to barely tolerate him, but hangs out with him because he's the only guy that is even vaguely interesting in her neighborhood. Then Dabney Coleman plays a dual role. He plays Davy's father as well as Davy's imaginary friend, a super spy by the name of Jack Flack, who, despite the fact that he's supposed to be a spy, actually appears in the film to be more of a special forces commando. It's a bit odd there. Anyway, Act 1, we're introduced to the characters, and we're also introduced to the fact that Davy's overactive imagination has him playing spy games in situations where he really shouldn't. And it's really awkward, and he embarrasses the hell out of Kim everywhere they go together. And in the midst of this, Davy witnesses a murder and the beginning of what seems to be some kind of espionage action. Now, because of his well-known overactive imagination, no one believes Davy when he tries to report this to the authorities. And in fact, the way Davy's imagination is presented to us in the film, in Act 1, we're not really sure as an audience whether Davy's making this all up in his head or not, because he really goes back and forth between reality and fantasy seamlessly, which is one of the reasons why he's considered to be he put it this way, the kid's in therapy, and he's not in therapy just for health. He's in therapy because he needs it. Although the film doesn't take it that seriously. His father, also played by Dabney Coleman, does take it seriously. In Act 2, we come to realize that the things that are happening vis-a-vis the spy plot line in this film are real, as characters who are not part of Davy's imagination are reacting to things that have happened regarding the spy plot. And also the people who perpetrated the murder, the enemy spies, have realized that Davy is a witness to everything. And so begins the chase, which is the bulk of the film. However, even as the audience is convinced that Davy's not making this up in his head, the rest of the characters in the film are not. And therefore, Davy is on his own as he's running from these seriously dangerous men who genuinely mean him harm. Act 3 includes the final showdown between the good guys and the bad guys, and a surprising bit of violence for what was a children's film at the time. There's one moment of violence that's rather shocking, especially by today's standards, when you consider who commits the violence on whom. It's a little bit harsh. I'm not sure that they would do that scene in a film today. The upside is that the film has solid acting all around. It's fairly suspenseful, is reasonably entertaining throughout, but everything about it is solid. Nothing is exceptional, which is part of the downside. The other part of the downside is Davy's imagination is so overactive that it it's put me out of the film for most of the first act. Most of the first act, I was just as put off by Davy's overactive imagination as his imaginary friend Kim. Also, his relationship with Kim is a bit odd, given that she's so put off by his constant playing spy that her relationship with him seems more antagonistic. She doesn't stop hanging out with him, but she doesn't seem to like him very much. In the end, my rating for this film is 3 stars. It does its job in terms of entertaining you for approximately 2 hours, but it's neither memorable nor forgettable. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it enough for me to drop it below 3 stars, but there is absolutely nothing great about it. I suppose it may be, if I were going the half-star route, this would be a 2.5-star film maybe, but it's solid enough that I'm comfortable with the 3-star rating. So that is my review of Cloak and Dagger, a film that I seem to have liked a whole lot better when I was younger, so you might want to take that in mind if you have kids. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already, and maybe share with your friends. And I will see you with my review tomorrow. I'm not looking forward to that one. See you then.